This week in the Restroom, we bust out our claws to flush a superhero origin turd from 2009. We've got mutant sibling rivalry, wirework fight scenes, unfinished CGI effects, constant rage acting, and actor Ryan Reynolds pre-gaming his Deadpool character by playing the same character here that makes Professor Clump look like Professor X. It's X-Men Origins, Wolverine. And before we flush it, we're gonna take it out and play with it a little. Restroom Cinema. We're here to flush it, so you don't have to see it. Greetings, everyone. I am Honor Knight, your head cinematic flusher right here in the Restroom. As always, I'm joined by my lovely co-cinematic flushers, Midwest movie mogul Colleen Griffin.
Hey, hey, hey.
And sassy cinephile Sarah Polton.
Hi, biatch.
Also joining us as part of our extended co-flushing team this time out is the creator of a brand new children's book called Little Wolfie of Riverhill School, and you can get it right now over on Amazon, link in the show notes. He's also the host of a brand new podcast called #WhoWould a weekly entertaining debate over who would come out on top when various heroes and villains are pitted against each other. Please welcome back author, historian, and now podcaster, Jay Sandlin.
How you doing, bub?
That pretty much sets the tone, sir. We appreciate that. Let's kick off this flush with a round of Thunder Dump. Blow some ass. I'll put 60 seconds on the Restroom clock, and we're going to go around the cinematic bowl to see who has the worst alternate title for this week's cinematic turd. The loser will then get to read the RSS, that's Restroom Stall Stats, in a funny voice of my choosing. Here we go. Griff!
Deadpool on arrival.
Very clever. Polton!
X-Men Origins.
Oh, Jay!
X-Men, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Oh, I had two brothers, one mutant gene. Think about that one. Griff!
Houston, we have a problem.
No. Polton!
Jimmy crack corn and I don't care.
That's really bad. Jay?
3 mutants and a blottom.
I had Gordon Lightfoot the early years. Griffin!
Well, I am disappointed.
Oh, ba-dum-bum, hey-oh, Polton!
X-Men.
That's all right. Are we going with that, Jay?
X-Men, Sew My Eyes Shut.
And I had X-Men Boner, ... claws. Get it? Get it? Oh, that is time. All right, so that could have ended on a great note or limp note, depending on your level of humor. There you go on that one. Oh, there we go. There's your round of Thunder Dump. And, of course, Sarah Polton came up short, so she gets to read the RSS, the rest of them stall stats, in the voice of a cheap, I just said cheap Canadian voice. So your best cheap Canadian voice, have at it.
Okay. All right. Who are you calling short? Let's start there. All right. X-Men Origins. Sorry. Wolverine is a 2009 American-based superhero film. Oh, sorry. Based on the fictional character Wolverine, maple syrup poutine, is the fourth installment of X-Men film series and a spin-off standalone Wolverine trilogy, but he didn't have free health care. The film was directed by Gavin Hood, and written by David Benoff and Skip Woods. It stars Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, and Danny Houston. Oh my God, and a bunch of nice fellows, because I'm nice, because we're Canadian. The film is a prequel spin-off of focusing on the violent past, of the mutant Wolverine and his relationship with his half-brother, Victor Creed. Nice guy. Sorry, how about it? A lot details Wolverine's childhood with early encounters with Major William Stryker and the bonding of Wolverine's skeleton with indestructible metal during the Weapon X program. On review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film has approval rating of 38%, but we think it's a good guy. Based on 252 reviews, the site's critical consensus reads, though Hugh Jackman gives it all, he can't help X-Men Origins overcome its cliche-written script and familiar narrative, but we think he's nice.
There you go. There's your
Justin Trudeau 2020.
You're very
so you should have done this one.
you're
No, half of my family's fucking Canadian.
Oh, Jesus. There's your very Canadian, semi-Canadian stats from Miss Poland. Boy, if you like your superhero mythology so screwed up it'll give a comic book nerd an aneurysm, have we got the cinematic turd for you? Jesus.
Okay, so that's the thing. The canon of
Here we go.
Wolverine, they had kept his origin story so ambiguous for decades. And what a lot of people don't know is the original origin that they had in mind for Wolverine, but abandoned, and this is like way back when. He wasn't even going to be a human mutant. He was going to be a Wolverine, an actual Wolverine that mutated into a human.
Jesus.
So he was like a Wolverine man kind of thing.
This,
I can see why they abandoned this idea, huh?
Yes,
Well-
they got some bad feedback initially from that when
You
some
think?
things leaked.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it feels like the studio abandoned this movie
well,
halfway through.
I'd like to know which asshole screenwriter said, hey, you know all those great X-Men comics with rich backstories? Let's just ignore them and make up our own shit. It'll
You know
be
who
dope.
did that? The creator of the TV series Game of Thrones.
What? He's one of the screenwriters?
David Benioff.
Oh my
It
god.
killed me. I'm like, okay, I guess he learned from his mistakes.
How did this guy get work after that? I don't understand.
Maybe
No,
it was
apparently
a
he got-
different
no.
David Benioff.
Yeah. And yeah, Skip Woods is the other screenwriter. And of course, you don't hire anybody named Skip. It's just on principle.
I thought that I had gotten the wrong movie when I started watching this. I was like, oh, what did I click? I was like, this isn't it at all. Okay, hold on. I gotta go look.
Oh, the budget was $150 million. I don't know where the budget went. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly. Like,
it's not on screen.
Again, it feels like the studio gave up on this movie halfway through.
I think they did because
Well,
they didn't
the
finish.
budget probably went to chickens for protein because Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber
Yeah, they're ripped. Yeah.
committed genocide against so many chickens for protein to look the way they did.
And before we get into it, your drinking game tonight is take a drink every time Hugh Jackman raises his head below the camera and screams in rage. Got really tired of seeing that shot over and over again. We get it. You're upset. Knock it off. We'll talk about it. Northwest Territories, Canada, 1849. Where all great lumberjack superheroes begin. I was a little thrown off by that. And then we get this. We get a young Hugh Jackman, which I didn't know. We get that and a young Liev Schreiber, which I didn't even know who the characters were at that point. I didn't even know what I was watching. And then Hugh Jackman steps in as the father, which makes no sense. And he says, "Evening, Victor. You'll notice I have my hair neatly coiffed like I'm about to perform in Hamilton."
No, I was like, wait, are we watching Van Helsing?
What were we watching?
I literally didn't know it was him.
That was a dumb
I
idea.
think I've lost my mind.
Yeah, I know it was Canada, but it must have been southern Canada because that looks like an inbred family, which is
Oh,
probably
Really?
where,
No, it really did.
Yeah, there might be some inbreeding going on. But why would you have Jackman play two role? Why would you have him play the father? That threw everybody off. Like when I saw that, I'm like, what is he doing there?
Well, no, wait, the
Am I
father who
remembering
ended up not
incorrectly?
being the
Oh,
father?
sorry, he's not. I'm sorry, he's
he
not
wasn't
right.
even the real father. That
Yeah.
made no sense
It
either.
do- it makes
like,
no
hey,
sense.
Yeah, so what was the
you've grown
point?
up, but I'm not really your father. I'm just some guy.
James, there are things you don't understand. Like how this young Logan first sprouts his bone claws and it looks like a kid rampaging through a Halloween store at the 3-minute mark. Boy, that would look terrible. There's something just comical about watching a kid with bone claws as opposed to a fully grown adult with them. And I have an issue with the bone claws too. I think, first of all, the CGI is terrible. We'll talk about that as we go.
Oh, no.
And it gets
way
progressively worse as a running time goes
I'm
on.
not opposed to bone claws because I like.
Well, I understand he had them.
In the
initially.
Wolverine continuity, he was born with the bone
Right,
claws.
that's
and
his-
at
that's
one
his
point,
mutant.
Magneto rips out his skeleton, and he has to go back to those. That's
Oh.
one of my favorite
Yeah,
storylines.
yeah.
Right.
I remember
But the
that.
movie makes me hate the bone claws, and it starts right here in this first scene
The kid.
because it's so iconic when the adamantium claws come out and you get the sneaked sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
bone claws, it sounds like someone pooping.
You know what this like opening scene reminded me of? Like a cheap ass Underworld sequel like opening scene.
Yeah, where's Kate Beckinsale's the mother? That's what
Oh,
we should
so
have.
Yes.
He wasn't your father. I am your father. Cue Imperial March. All right.
I know,
All
right?
A long way to go for that one.
Except everybody has all their hands.
Yeah, oh, bone claws. Entire opening sequence plays like a Canadian Downton Abbey episode no one asked for. Keep on running, don't look back. This crappy film is gaining on us. So what basically happens is the father who's not the father gets shot by the father who's the real father of the two boys, which are the young Hugh Jackman and Liev Schreiber, and they break away from that because the bone claws come out, and the other guy's got those weird fucked up nails, and we'll talk about that, and they run off into the woods. And now, 20th Century Fox presents We're now treated to a nearly 4-minute opening credit sequence where Van Helsing and Ray Donovan fight their way through various wars over time, pretty much the same way both actors were trying to fight their way out of this turd. I wonder at what point they realized they were in trouble.
Jackman was like at his peak, at peak Jackman.
Was he at peak Jackman? Was that 2009?
Yeah.
That's fair to say. He
Okay.
also, he believed in this movie. Like, he wanted it to be something more than what it was.
Yeah,
and
he's
he
a
was
good
ultimately
guy.
disappointed.
That's
He's a
shame.
great guy, but someone's going to have to explain this scene to me.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I'm a historian, and I love seeing the wars. I love the montage of wars. These guys are
It
Canadian.
made no sense. Oh
Well,
Why
my
are they
God.
fighting in all the American wars?
Oh,
if
that's a
they're
great
fighting-
point. That's a great
God,
point, Jay.
right.
Well, that's the other problem. And why is they're trying to stay low-key and under the radar? Why are they in these wars killing?
Yeah, they're clearly
Yeah.
not trying to stay low key.
Because
No.
they're hunters, so this is how they get to
No,
hunt.
they are not hunters.
I don't-
What movie
you know
are
what,
we
I'm
watching?
trying.
You know what? It's pretty bad. It's
Sarah,
pretty
they're
bad.
lumberjacks.
No, it's pretty bad when the war flashbacks in True Blood make more sense. In this movie.
So that's
So
why you have
true.
to, yeah, so you're watching all these various wars, folks. It's pretty easy to figure it out. Next credit comes up as Will I Am. And I said this may be the funniest actor's credit in the history of motion pictures. The theme song for this turd should have been Let's Get Retarded.
How bad is the movie when Will I Am was not that bad?
No, he was that
No,
bad.
he was
Griffin, he
okay,
was.
yeah.
Oh, no, you
he
guys
really
are way.
wasn't. No, he wasn't.
No, he
that
was
bad.
flat out terrible, and I'll
He
talk
was.
about it when we get to him. Yeah, he was really
No,
bad.
I mean, okay,
Come on,
compared
lady.
to every other movie he was, but in this movie, he
Oh.
wasn't that bad.
Some people almost got a little too retarded when they watched it.
Oh,
and
boy.
stop
Ba-dum-bum.
it.
Hey-oh.
Stop it. Bleep
Too
it out.
Wake me when it's over. Griff?
That's what she said.
Hey-oh. My name is Major William Stryker. And I will be just one of several actors playing this thankless role. 8-minute mark.
Oh, how many shitty movies
A lot.
has Danny Houston played the villain in?
Well, that's the one problem. And the other problem is like 14 different people played Major Stryker. Am I correct? At least 3 different actors have done it. Brian
You're
Cox
correct.
did it.
Right.
In
Yeah, and then
X2, you had the great Mr. Cox play
Yeah.
him, and then the younger fellow played him in the First Class
Right.
trilogy, most recently with the Apocalypse movie. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I
but in-
actually like his take.
Okay. you
Oh,
like
it's
it.
good, but they actually try to keep a bit of continuity with the young version in Days of Future Past that we got in
Mhm.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
They imagine him growing up into Cox. So they eliminate this Stryker
Ah.
entirely.
Oh, Jesus,
much like-
really?
Yeah,
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, I like the younger one. I really want to see that
Oh, I
develop
bet you do.
more.
Hey,
Oh, come on.
ba-dum-bum.
No.
All right,
I
nice.
I want to punch him in the face. Like, he's attractive. He's
Well-
attractive, but I want to punch him in the dick, too.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
this
Wow.
movie supposedly takes
Sorry,
place. They're,
that's a
they're
great
very
combo.
ambiguous about when this movie takes place.
Yeah, that's the
but
other
it
problem, Jay, is
suggests
that
that
this-
it's in the 80s.
Well, we don't know because, like, it has to tie into the Weapon X comic, which I am somewhat familiar with. So I'm kind of familiar with a lot of these elements that are being played out here. But it's like a salad buffet. They're just taking what they want and leaving the rest. It's not a cohesive mythology that's being introduced here, and it really should have been if you're
It's
gonna
not.
if you're gonna lock down this character of Wolverine cinematically, not in the comics. I'm putting together a special team with special privileges. Does that include not having to wait in line at theme parks? It was funny when I wrote it, but so basically these guys went through all the wars and they ended up in the jail cell because they were killed and they lived because they both have healing properties. Stryker shows up to recruit them for a special team. I guess it's in the 70s, right, Jay? Is this happening? Is this section in the 70s?
It looked like Vietnam.
Is it
yes.
Vietnam? Okay,
And-
so we're assuming we're at the end of the Vietnam War.
All right, so if it was Vietnam, then you go back to X-Men Days of Future Past, which also
Yes,
showed
yeah.
Vietnam.
Right.
And William Stryker looks like he's 20 years old.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Danny Houston has never
Whereas
looked young.
our William Stryker here
Yeah.
in Origins could probably make the early bird special.
It's not as fun as having claws or a gun or fingernails of a bag lady. In case you ever wanted to see Ryan Reynolds do his warm-up routine for Deadpool, I give you his appearance in this turn around the 10-minute mark. First question we got to ask is, why is he wearing a half scuba suit?
I think he was probably asking himself the same question.
And God, like, I know the guy was desperate to do Deadpool, and it's funny going back to watch this film after we've seen Deadpool and how great that film
Oh my
is.
God.
To see what
My
they were
God,
trying
no,
to
see,
equate
like,
here.
No, he had been mainlining like Prozac
Jay, you're-
throughout this whole shoot, going, this is what I wanted to do, and this is what it turned into.
Yeah, Jay, you're a big comic book fan. I mean, how much was your blood boiling? And most of the comic book fans when they saw this incarnation of Deadpool, which is not Deadpool.
All right. So if we're talking about Dino or Deadpool in name only, we're about to get to the scene where my blood really boils. But before that, I've read interviews where Reynolds has just gone on record and said, I had to do it. They told me I had to do it to play Deadpool, so I did it. Leave me alone.
All right. That's pretty much the bullet point.
That's paraphrased.
Well, yeah. We'll come back to
it. Well, this movie was the foundation for a new X-Men cinematic universe after X3: The Last Stand was considered to be another bomb.
Okay.
You mean like the new Mummy is the new foundation for...
Yeah, exactly.
And we know how well that turned out.
Go back and make the origins of the X-Men characters, and this was going to be the first, and then Magneto's was going to be the next. And that when this movie failed, they went to the First Class plan instead.
Oh, okay. Well,
Thank Jesus.
I guess that should mention. So they're in a plane going on their first mission. So they're recruited by Stryker, and the other people on the team are an Asian guy who can shoot a gun really well. We got Will.i.am, which I'm going to get to in 1 second, who can teleport over short spaces. And you got the Deadpool. And there's another thin guy who becomes a fat guy later on. We'll talk about him, who can just punch a tank. We'll talk about that. Would you like a bucket so we can puke over Will.i.am's horrible acting skills? Yes, please.
He wasn't that distracting because this movie was so terrible.
Were there
I
no
was
other
very distracted that he got to wear a large cowboy hat.
That was
what was
wardrobe.
that about?
Yes. They dressed him up like a skank in Vegas.
Was there no other black actors available for this role? Like, how did this guy even get this role? Like, how do you?
From what I understand, they were happy to have him, and
really?
from what I understand, he got to choose his mutant power.
Wait a second. No, that's
are you kidding me?
Jay, that's what I was going to ask you, if he was based on an actual character.
No, he's not. I mean, he's ripped off Nightcrawler's powers.
He's Nightcrawler. It's Nightcrawler, right?
Everybody's power in this was so big, it was not explained.
Lagos, Nigeria. Not to be confused with Lagos, Nevada. With apologies to CinemaSins if you listen to that. That was a cheap joke on their apartment. Why are we here? More importantly, why are we all posing together in a straight line? The 11-minute mark. I love those shots where everybody's got to walk up next to each other so we get that great hero shot. First of all, these guys are not heroes. They're all assholes. But okay, we'll go with that. Oh my God!
It's the Suicide Squad.
So they're in Lagos on William Stryker's order because they have to get a MacGuffin that's inside of this building, this Bilko experiment building in the middle of Lagos. Oh my God! Do you ever shut up, pal? We've been asking Ryan Reynolds that same question for years. Bump you on that one. Yeah, he really doesn't stop talking ever in any movies in. Especially at Hitman's Assassin, I guess he just never shuts up. Which works to his advantage and his detriment, depending on the film he's in. Not funny.
But you know what you're getting. He's the same in every film.
All right, that's a good point. And he has done kind of
He can only play himself.
Time to go to work. If you ever wanted to see a costumeless Deadpool spin his swords around like a propeller blade, I give you the 13-minute mark. Okay, when did they have that power?
I specifically remember before this movie came out and they were showing clips on television, this was one of the clips they showed.
Oh, no.
And this was supposed to make you excited for the movie. I was like, is this a joke? Is this like a parody that they've made?
First of all, Deadpool can't do that. That's not his power. That's not his.
Nobody can do that.
Well, that's the other thing.
It was almost like The Flash, like watching The Flash spin some katanas around.
Again, when you have characters and comic book characters doing stuff that's out of his canon, that's a big red flag. I don't want the diamonds. I want this. This humongous kidney stone that looks like something the Hulk passed through his giant Hulk dick. That was a terrible prop. I guess it was adamantium, right? Or adamantium. Where is that originally from? Did that fall from space, Jay, or was that?
I don't recall it being from space in the comics, but they do imply in the movie that it comes from space. But they don't give us any more than that.
Yeah, we don't get anything about adamantium or adamantium. I can't remember.
And that could have been kind of cool that if the adamantium was like from the space, and maybe you get into the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah,
and,
you can nerd out. Yeah, there's okay. All right. Don't just dial it down here.
But did they ever explain why they need the meteorite?
Yeah, they do later on. I guess you missed that part. It's coming up later on.
This was a lot for my little.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Poland just got back from Puerto Rico, and she's all these flabbergasted her. She can't.
It wasn't in Spanish, so I didn't understand it.
Yeah, maybe we needed subtitles on this. We can't just let you walk away. Not from this franchise. Not ever. So we should say that they storm the building. They get this piece of adamantium or this rock, this meteorite, which we don't know what it is until later on. And then they have to go find out where the meteorite came from so they can get more of it, at least William Stryker. And it involves a lot of killing a lot of people, which that's kind of questionable. I know this was PG-13. Probably should have been R, I think, and maybe pushed a little further. But as a result, Wolverine says, I'm not going to do this shit with you guys, with you animals. And he walks off. They just let him walk off into the woods. Why didn't they kill
happening?
Him? Yeah, exactly.
They lived through how many wars, right? These guys have gone through what? Every major war ever.
Every
and
one.
then they're like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah, now they're done. For no reason, right? Just because they're going to kill one black woman, one African lady on the screen. It doesn't make any sense at all. Canadian Rockies, 6 years later. And that's why I said, is this entire fucking movie told in flashback? Do we ever get to modern day? My God, knock it off with the flashbacks. The whole film's a flashback.
My biggest pet peeve is a flashback.
Oh,
like,
my
just
God.
tell me the story now. Tell me where it's
right.
Interesting.
Well, it doesn't, because the first two chunks are in flashback. So, why are you up so early? Because it was a long way back from that location shot to this obvious studio set around the 18-minute mark. I love when Jackson gets up and he walks outside, and that's a location shot. And then they cut to the close-up, and it's a studio. Like, you guys just couldn't do the close-ups there?
Right.
See ya, baby. And while I'm out here working as a lumberjack, make sure you get to the tanning salon to get to work on that Mars bronze skin. There you go, folks. Lynn Collins shows up in yet another genre turd around the 20-minute mark and looking just as thrilled as she was in John Carter.
I did not recognize her. She was in John Carter.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I swear to God, without that orange tan.
and the blue colored contacts.
Oh, yeah, it's all fucked up.
Right?
Collins' character is named Kyla Silverfox, yet the last time I checked, Collins was an Indian. Well done, Marvel. Culturally appropriated that fucking character.
Poor
What do you
white
mean
woman
the-
is getting cast as Indian
why?
women. What's happening?
What, you mean the
Animation.
actress?
Yes,
Oh,
the actress is not
character.
Indian,
Well,
right?
the actress does have Native American ancestry,
Does
but
she?
Oh, does
we
she?
don't know how much.
Well, not that much,
Like
Jay.
2%,
Come on.
huh?
Yeah, you
I
would
mean,
hire an Indian to
maybe
do this.
she got a scholarship. I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. Everybody go see Wind River because it actually has like
Is she in
a
it?
very diverse cast and it doesn't just slap on
actually,
some orange
that's
tan.
excellent.
I think she's got talent, but damn it, she's got to stop showing up in this garbage and stop playing people that
Hey,
like the Mars.
hey, as a woman actress, you got to do what you got to do.
But
Yeah.
but first of all, she's not Indian in this film, and
Oh,
she
you
should have
guys
hired
know
an
I
Indian
would
to do
eat
it.
that fake tan in a second. I'm
You
just
would.
telling
I
myself.
know. You're
Yeah.
right. Springfield, Ohio, where Homer Simpson will bust out his claws on Marge. Hey-oh, there you go. Now we got to go to Springfield, guys. Guess what? We just keep hopping around. Canadian Rockies,
Oh,
now we're in
boy.
Springfield. If you turn off the light, you win a prize, just like turning the light off on your career post Lord of the Rings, huh, Dominic Monaghan?
Oh my
guess
God.
guess we now know where a good hobbits go to die.
His career was lost.
Oh, ba-dum-bum, hey-oh. We're
Oh,
gonna riff with
he's
it.
so good though. I
He
thought he was
is.
great on Lost. As
But
I
Charlie,
know.
right?
I know.
agree.
Yes. I actually was looking on his IMDb, and I was like, why hasn't
I
he been
don't-
doing more?
I don't know.
I enjoy him as an actor.
He plays another mutant, guys, and his thing is, it's kind of like Professor X, I guess. His power, again, it's another one made up. It's another made up fucking mutant that doesn't
No, the
turn
power
up in
is
the comics.
defined as technopathy.
Oh Jesus, really? Oh, all right, so we can go
Yeah,
with that.
it's like a combination of like American Gods and X-Men.
So anyway,
He
he's
controls technology with his
Yeah.
mind, is my
Right.
Yeah.
understanding.
Liev Schreiber shows up at his trailer because he's running a carnival and kills him. Show's over. We wish, but sadly, we're only 22 minutes in running time. As Sarah Polton would say, buckle up.
Well, no,
So-
the show's over because American Horror Story Freak Show needs the set.
Zero, back to the car. Well, at least they got the name of one crappy mutant correct. That's it. So basically, William Stryker finds Hugh Jackman. We should mention Hugh Jackman is living now as a lumberjack in the Canadian Rockies as a lumberjack, folks. Not
He prefers lumber sexual.
right. Well, we can go with that, but not the lumberjacks from Monty Python. So as a result of that, he's dating this chick, this Indian chick who's not Indian. She's British. Am I correct, Lynn Collins?
Who,
No.
Lynn Collins?
Yeah.
No, she's American.
Oh, is she? Oh, I thought she was British. For some, I don't know why I'm
I
giving
did.
her more.
I actually
Oh.
did too. I
Oh,
looked
my
her
bad.
up
All right.
while we were doing this.
Oh, okay. All right, so she's all right. So she's dating Lynn Collins in the Canadian, who plays a Canadian Indian, but go figure that. But all right. Anyway, so William Stryker finds him, and he's got a job, of course, because they always find these people.
William Stryker. Oh, so formal.
Yeah, I know. Bradley was killed 3 weeks ago. Wade a week before that. Jeez, we didn't even get to see Short Bus Deadpool's death on screen. Hashtag lame. He might not be dead, folks, but according to William Stryker, they killed him, and we didn't even get to see that. Yeah, we should mention Ryan Reynolds is done for a while. He's going to come back around, folks, so hang in there. I know,
I think Ryan Reynolds was done at this point, though.
Why is the moon so lonely? More importantly, why are Collins' cheeks puffed out in this scene like she forgot to take her insulin medication at the 28-minute mark? She's a little puffy. She doesn't look healthy in that scene. I don't understand what, like, I don't know if it was angles or she just was bloated. I don't get it, but she didn't look really that good. She looked much leaner in John Carter.
She was like built in John Carter.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I think that's what
it
it
must have been that contouring with that Mars spray tan.
Kue Kawatsu. It means the Wolverine. Cine Dookie means crappy film. Hey-o! There we go. Take one laugh on that one and keep moving. So basically, she tells him a story about, she gives him the name Wolverine, basically, in this roundabout, fucked up Indian story where she's not Indian and she's in a white negligee and she crawls on top of him. I don't think they had that much chemistry together.
I totally agree.
Okay.
There was none.
I wish they had a little bit more chemistry. Maybe he should have just hired his wife, because hasn't he been married for 20 fucking years?
Yeah, but like,
but she's like a really average lady. She's like just like
really?
your mom.
Really?
Yeah, she's look her up. She's an older woman and she's just very average, and they're madly in love. It's really funny. It's cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, with the editing, how can you even like
I know.
get any sort of chemistry from whatever that is? It was like a smash cut of a relationship.
How much
And
chemistry?
I don't think anyone was really wanting to know where he came up with the name Wolverine, that it was from some story about Cuckoo Cachoo or whatever.
Well, it would have had more, impact if their chemistry was a little bit more believable and the love story was a little bit more developed. So I'm not going to rule that out. I kind of like that, but here it's a throwaway thing. And she's crawling on top of him with puffy cheeks. He's freaking out because she didn't take her meds and she doesn't look healthy, and the whole scene's blown. So I mean, there's a lot going on here. How he got his name.
Well, she's probably on constant antibiotics and Neosporin from getting stabbed during sex every night.
Ouch.
Oh my god!
Ew.
I would make that man sleep in another room.
Oh
No,
jeez!
thank you.
Wow, Polton's out. Okay, what are you doing, Logan? Getting his cardio in by running really fast through a forest as he does in every one of the X-Men films. Jackman does so much running he makes Usain Bolt look like a speed walker. That's all he does in these movies. They just do these big long tracking shots of him running somewhere. Like, we get it. Roar! Jackman screams into the open air once again over his old lady's death, which has about as much impact as discovering an empty slurping machine at a 7-Eleven. 32-minute marks. There you go, folks. In case you're wondering about Lynn Collins, she dies, and I'm doing air quotes as I'm saying that. She might be back. I'm not saying she's going to be back, but she'll be back. Sorry, spoiler
alert.
But here she's dead,
Spoiler
and
alert.
again, not much chemistry between them, so you don't really buy the whole romance, so you don't really give a shit when she dies. Okay, that's my whole point. And she's killed by Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth character, who's never called Sabretooth in this fucking turd. He finds her on an open road and ends up seemingly, and again, air quotes, kills her, but we'll get to that. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Oh, Wolverine's not happy. Liev Schreiber's character is what you get if Ray Donovan was decked out in mutton chops and cheap fangs for a tacky Halloween party. When I think Sabretooth, this is not who I envision. This asshole in a
not at all
trench coat and
we got Sabretooth in 1999.
I thought he was okay in
movie,
that. Yes.
Played by Tyler Mane,
that's
who's
right.
like 7 feet tall with the long hair. And I don't understand, because in theory it's the same character, but they have no recollection of meeting each other in X-Men, which, Wolverine obviously wouldn't have the recollection. But I don't. No one has ever explained that is the biggest continuity error in all of X-Men to me, and there are many. I just don't get it.
I didn't think it was bad. I think Tyler Mane did a better job. I think Liev Schreiber was just kind of out of his element here. I don't think he was a good choice for this role. And he's a very good character actor in general. And I've actually seen him on Broadway doing Glengarry Glen Ross, which he was brilliant in. And he's done Ray Donovan. I know he's got a big series now, but here he just seems he just never sells it for some reason.
In the comic books, Wolverine and Sabretooth are intricately linked.
Right. The
ongoing story was that Sabretooth always finds Logan wherever he is on his birthday and comes within an inch of killing him. And then he's like, see you next year.
Okay, that's all right. Well, that's again, guys, more interesting than what we're watching. But all right.
At one point, Sabretooth was going to be his dad in the comics.
All right, that might be pushing it. Okay, well, it's not that crazy.
He looks like a weird alcoholic who maybe does a lot of coke and has those weird long man nails, and you're like, Don't talk to me, weird man.
He's got 10.
Those man nails are like the after picture for a meth poster.
Yeah.
No,
How else am I supposed to get your attention? By leaping around on wires like a scared jackrabbit, for one, at the 34-minute mark. His running and leaping was really fucking hysterical. That's the dumbest way I can see a character cross from point A to point B is on wires. And I don't know how Liev Schreiber, and Liev Schreiber is tall as well. We should mention he's over 6 feet as well. And for him to kind of pull that off, this looks absolutely dreadful on screen. There's just no way to sell that convincingly. In the comics, you can get away with stuff, guys. That's what I keep talking about. Some stuff is just not adaptable. Things you can do in a comic book, in a comic page, on a splash page, you cannot do in real life. It just does not translate. Even in Marvel films, they've faulted on that too. So the thing is, they have a little fight. Sabretooth gets away. And as a result, Mr. Jackman is recruited by Stryker, who says, look, I'm gonna make you indestructible so you can actually kill your brother, which you couldn't do before. I don't agree with that. I don't understand why they couldn't kill each other, why he has to be super sized, I guess, McDonald's style to do that, but all right. We're gonna make we're gonna make you indestructible, but first we're gonna have to destroy you. And that would involve Jackman being submerged in a tank of liquid you more commonly find at a Swedish day spa around the 39-minute mark.
Oh, boy.
Like real life torture. The water was not CGI'd. He spent literal days combined.
Did he really?
Under the water.
All right, we'll give him credit for that.
Yes.
I don't know why. Man, what a waste of time that was. But all right. It's called Adamantium. If you listen real close in the theater when Stryker utters this line, you can hear at least half of the nerd collective ejaculating in their chinos. Everybody liked that one. Wasn't that it? We all waiting
They
for
got
that.
upset with me for making a mess.
We're about to create Weapon X. Bruce Jenner underwent this same procedure, but he turned out to be Weapon XX. Hey-oh. Come on, that's chromosome humor, folks.
That's not.
Can someone? All right.
Wait,
This
go
didn't make
ahead. Somebody save me.
any sense to me at all.
All right.
Oh, let's just put him under some water and inject a bunch of metal into him. Like,
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
In the scene, they're lacing his bones with an indestructible metal known as adamantium. The trick to it is you've got to get it hot to manipulate it, because once it cools, it's going to be indestructible. So they want to make him, more powerful. That's the idea of the perfect super soldier program with Weapon X.
You got that, Polton?
Someone needs to cast Jay in movies
Yeah.
to be the exposition guy.
Yeah, just
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good is it.
Lockdown. There's a naked man with claws running around. I haven't seen that since the last Metallica concert, the 44-minute mark. So, guys, in case you wanted to see Hugh Jackman naked, guess what? You're going to get your wish. You got a pretty good ass.
This is a good scene.
Yeah,
Guys, this is
44-minute
fantastic.
mark. Yeah, he busts out of there. He's got his ass on display, jumps out. He's looking good. I have to say, the guy did work out. It did pay
I
off.
got to give him some
Yeah.
kudos. They
absolutely.
did pretty well copying the flashback of this same event from
The comic?
X2.
Oh, okay, you're right. That's right. They do that. It does appear next. So briefly, right? It's a flashback.
Briefly, he
Yes.
goes back to this same place, the spillway, because I don't know if you guys caught it, but the place where Weapon X is, this dam, where they do the procedure in this scene, is where the finale of X2 takes place.
Oh, you're
Yep.
right. You're absolutely
Yep.
right. Very good. All right, Jay, with the connection there. All right, very good. With the
And
link.
Wolverine does run out naked in a flashback and in this scene, but he is much less ripped in X2
Oh, that's
compared to
right.
Oh yeah,
That's
and
right.
in X-Men Apocalypse.
When they made X2 and they filmed the scene with him running naked, I think it was Famke Jameson and all the female cast, including someone's mother, were standing there waving dollar bills at him.
Hunt him down, take his head off. Well, so much for that experiment. Stryker acts like he can just get another Wolverine the same way he can get another Anima at CVS. like he builds this whole thing up, this Stryker guy, like this is gonna be Ultimate Soldier, and then when it fails, he's like, just kill him. And we'll get another one. Wait a minute. You spent fucking
like
billions of dollars.
Real doll
Yeah.
from the sex shop. Yeah.
You can't just walk out and get another mutant. It doesn't work like that, guys.
You
Wolverine.
done goofed. What a dumb plan.
Yeah, it's a terrible
And
plan.
don't they mention that it cost him $500 million?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a
do
lot
that.
of money. Yeah, and then
Did
he's
they
like,
did they not get estimates first?
anyway, so he escapes, guys, and he goes into this barn, and these two old people, basically,
And they're like, oh, Ma, what's that, Paul?
Well, Jay,
What's a
Jay,
naked man?
Jay, was it just me, or was that Mom, Pa, Kent?
And
What?
they're based on the founders of Alpha Flight, the
Are they
Canadian
really?
superhero
Oh,
team.
Christ.
Yes.
Jay-
In
Jay-
name only.
Jay goes nerd deep. Jay goes real deep once
you're
again.
surprised.
Jay, this is why we need you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there you go, folks. If you know, we're not even gonna explain Alpha Flight. That's a whole separate show right there.
I liked those people.
I liked
gotta
them too.
say that
I
they were a bright
yeah,
spot
yeah.
in the movie.
There you go.
were
Yeah,
kind
they-
of
yeah, no,
caring
these
for
two.
them.
Oh, they were great.
They were very lonely. They saw him as a
No,
surrogate son.
they were
like-
American. They were like the backstory of American Gothic.
We don't. So anyway, the old guy finds him in a bar and he says, "Don't want you to give the old lady a heart attack," because he gives him some clothes to put on. We, on the other hand, will definitely have a heart attack over those piss poor CGI claws guys around the 47-minute mark. So that's when he first busts out his adamantium claws in this bathroom. Could they not afford to finish the rendering? Those claws look worse than a CGI dildo on Rosie O'Donnell. They are fucking terrible, guys.
That is an image.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
yeah,
why
and
do we
so
even
is
have
this.
to CGI claws? Are claws hard
Right.
to make?
Well,
I
they
mean,
can't-
Yeah, no, I mean, that was
Get some
like
glue.
Look, here's the deal, you guys. For filmmakers, you do the CGI of the claws coming out, and then you cut to the actual claws in his hands. You don't keep the CGI claws on the screen because it looks just like literally PowerPoint. It looks terrible. Like when the
they were clip art claws.
yeah, and you know what they are? The Instagram. You know when you do the Instagram things when you put all your shit on
No,
your face.
Snapchat filter.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a Snapchat
They were
filter.
the
Oh, yeah.
Snapchat
Yeah.
Wolverine filter.
Jay, did that boil your blood too? I thought, guys,
It
if you're gonna
did.
do- yeah,
It
that's
did,
really
absolutely.
sad.
And
For
then
Big
he
Wolverine.
broke their sink, and he's got to pay with it out of the 18.5 he makes as a lumberjack.
So yeah, so he gets through dinner, and the next morning, he comes into the barn there, and the husband or the old man, "This is my son's jacket. Try it on." He doesn't hang out in those gay biker bars anymore. The 51-minute mark.
No, that was like a douchey members only motorcycle.
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
but
whatever
that's
jacket.
that's what he's known for, right? That leather jacket. Isn't that his like costume
in the film
technically?
series, yeah, in the film, it's kind of the facsimile for his costume because it's sort of the colors, not really of Wolverine. I think it's the same jacket we find him wearing in the first X-Men movie, though.
Oh, is it really? Okay, all right.
If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that.
All right. So no, but by that scene is done, the mother comes in with some breakfast, and before you know, that Asian Zero dude shoots both of them.
Oh
And
my
then
god,
he
it's
said-
the worst.
It's a horrible scene.
bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Agent Zero bothers me as well.
Well, what is Agent
because
Zero, Jay? What is that
he-
character?
He's not. I mean, I think he's based on a couple of other characters, but it's so
Christ.
bland the way it's
Yeah, he's
presented
terrible.
to us.
That guy's terrible in the film.
And with
There's
such a
a-
deep roster of X-Men to draw
Well, yeah,
from,
that's
you couldn't
what I'm-
do better than this.
Jay, that's
well,
what I'm saying.
there's nothing worse than being boring and annoying.
But that's the problem. Is like the X-Men have an entire roster of great characters in their comics, and this is what they just make up shit. Why can't you pull from what's existing? I don't. Maybe it's a rights issue. I don't know, like what the rights were. The Marvel, they can only.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
think
know,
they could have
but
found something better.
I
than
think
what we
so.
got.
There's a lot of great, and there's more coming up. Hang on. Number 1, don't lose them, because if you do, you'll make me go number 2. Hey-o! Come on, that was a good one. All right, maybe not. Pull up or out of this horribly choreographed action scene which wants us to believe a Wolverine can take out a helicopter by simply
Oh
by
my God.
launching himself into the air via an explosion, sure, at the 45-minute mark. My God, this is the equivalent of taking your Wolverine action figure and throwing it at a ceiling fan. Talk
It
about
would have been better if you had the pew 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 like done with it.
how bad was the compositing on this sequence? Where, like, folks, we should mention there's a big motorcycle chase sequence with the helicopter. Agent Zero's in a helicopter. He's trying to shoot out Wolverine, which apparently he can't aim. He's a stormtrooper. Can't fucking hit him on the motorcycle, even though he has the high ground. But okay. But anyway, in a roundabout way, Wolverine manages to, leap himself in the air via an explosion, take out the helicopter blades, and crash the helicopter without getting injured. It's one of probably the worst. And this was the sequence that was featured in the trailers for the film that made it look super cool. But when you see it in context of the movie, guess what, guys? Not that fucking great. So,
This was like the first, I felt like really major fight scene, and it was
Really?
over in like an hour into the film, and I was so,
54
it was exhausting. Come
minutes
on.
into the film.
No, I went and looked up the budget of the movie. 'Cause
It's
I was like,
150
It
million.
was very like Fast and Furious.
Well,
if
that's
you
what
had
I'm
a green
saying is
screen.
you're right, but where does the budget go? That's a lot of money in 2009. That's a lot of money.
yeah, no, and I looked up when this movie was
Oh,
made
no.
because I was like,
Yeah.
this is trash.
All of it should have looked a lot better than it did. I understand where the budget literally ran out. And I think, Griff, what we were saying earlier is that Fox gave up on the movie halfway through. Guess what? We're about halfway through. They didn't even
Yeah.
give a shit how this was put together. And that's too bad because it's a major sequence in the film. And it's unexcusable to see that.
Well, and the pacing of this movie makes no sense either. Like,
I
they
know.
put so much time and, like, backstory, and then they were just like, rush.
Yep. It's funny how innocent people tend to die around you. Well, it's also funny how Jackman keeps slow motion walking away from explosions like he's appearing in a local propane store commercial around the 56-minute mark. So, in case you're wondering, Agent Zero, guess what? He dies. Thank God. Enough of that fucking guy. And Jackman blows up the helicopter and looks really cool walking away from it. Guys, I don't know if you ever walked away from an explosion. You're actually running.
I imagine it's good for your ears.
Yeah, but they just spent $500 million making him indestructible, so you can walk away from explosions.
All right.
Yeah, and his eardrums, heal themselves. So
all right. Wow.
They would. Yeah, they would.
Boy, the nerd's coming out tonight. All right. Summers, sit up and take off those glasses. Geez, did we really need a Cyclops cameo in this shirt? Haven't we all had enough of Cyclops by now? The 57-minute mark.
You want to know how this movie ran out of budget? This was like some no-name Australian actor.
Oh, is that who played Cyclops? It wasn't James Marsters, by no means.
No, I feel like this was like they were throwing it in to add something
interesting.
They were like, we got nothing.
This section felt like I was watching a different movie. It was now we cut to a different movie.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. We hunted our own kind, Logan. There's a special place in hell for the things we did. Well, there's definitely a special place in hell for Will.i.am, who chunks out all of his dialogue like he's trying to score drugs from an undercover cop. So basically, he has to. Jackman finds Will.i.am.
No, Will.i.am acts like the bad undercover cop.
He's terrible in this, and he finds him in a fighting in a boxing gym or whatever, and to track because he has to find out where. Because Stryker mentions something about an island, and they have to find out what island he's talking about so he can find Stryker and find Victor and kill everybody. And anyway, he has to track down Will.i.am, who plays he's the black version of Nightcrawler. Whatever you do, don't mention his weight. This is what they also say to Chris Christie on a daily basis. Hey-o! Did you just call me ... blob? This is also what Chris Christie asks his staff on a daily basis. Hey-o!
Get into my belly.
Come on, look at him. Big old ass coming out of his shirt. This is also ... you get it. Hey-o. All right,
this is Fat Bastard, Michael.
Yeah, right.
Bastard.
So in case you're wondering if Fat Bastard does show up, the guy we mentioned way earlier, is one of the team members, puts on a lot of weight and becomes the X-Men, he's a mutant character, Blob, right? Is he a villain or a hero? He's a villain, right?
Blob is one of the founding members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, the
which,
most least subtly named group.
Which
comics.
is appropriate because his character on the strain is like trash.
Oh yeah, so
like
it's a good actor.
Played by Kevin Durant.
And he's in probably the worst fat suit I think I've ever seen since the Nutty Professor. But all right, we can go with that.
I'm gonna take the other side here.
Oh really?
And
you
say
like
this was my favorite scene of the film.
Wow, this is it? Really? When the film?
Wait. It was entertaining. I will say that.
Let's stop. No.
And the thing about Blob is he is so over the top or over the weight limit that you can make it ridiculous and still work.
Was Weird Al not available for this role?
No, I think he borrowed Gwyneth Paltrow's fat suit.
Oh shit! Oh, we could go with that. Oh, that's a good one too. All right, so yeah, bust out your fat suits, guys, because there's a lot of. But Jay might be right. This might because it's such a large fat suit and it's comical that the scene might play better. But again, it's a tonal problem, guys, because the rest of the film is super serious, and then we get to this section and it's kind of fun.
Oh, we needed a little comic relief. I'm all right with it.
Oh, so you're all right with the fat guy?
And he is good. Like, Kevin Durant, I'm sorry. He's good at being unintentionally funny.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Kevin Durant.
Humor, but I don't think he means it, but
no,
he's good at it.
And this is another actor who was wasted, I guess. They could have gave him more to do. But then that's the Blob. I mean, how much mileage are you going to get out of this dumbass? But all right, and this is the only scene. So anyway, Victor is on the island with Stryker. They run that. You didn't know that? And I said, duh. Was anyone else surprised to learn that these two idiots were working together? Anyone? No. Obviously, Victor and Stryker were working together from the get-go. And wiping out these other mutants, or actually, they're kind of rounding up mutants to do experiments. We'll get to it, folks. And believe me, when you see the full experiment, you're going to shit your pants. Are you Remy LeBeau? Actually, I'm Taylor Kitsch, starless such a cinematic turds as John Carter, Battleship, Savages, Lone Survivor, Covenant, John Tucker, Must Die, and this superhero piece of shit at the hour and 7-minute mark. So there you go.
No. So he should have answered, oh, actually, I'm the next big thing that never happened.
Right. But I'm pumped. In case you're wondering, folks, that's our tie-in this week. If you're going to go see American Assassin tomorrow, there you go. It's the same John Carter hair, right? It's the same hair he had John Carter. All right.
You know, Gambit is my favorite X-Men, and he could not have been done worse.
I agree with that. And Jay, this is obviously a terrible version of that. I actually am familiar with the comic book character, but Jay, you want to give your spin on what the Gambit character is actually supposed to be?
They tried. That's my spin.
Really?
They tried.
Wow.
They got his Cajun roots correct. Gambit was also a member of the Thieves Guild, and they referenced him being a thief.
So what brings you to our fair city, sir? Which city is that, Taylor? Because your accent is so bad I can't really tell. Oh my god. And when your classic X-Men character looks more like a doorman at a cheap New Orleans strip club, you know your film is in trouble. He just it was a bad choice all right down the line.
Well, the direction of that scene was so...
Well, yeah. So we should mention that Hugh Jackman goes into this. They have to track down Gambit because he knows where the island is to find Victor and that stupid Stryker guy. That's all you need to know. And he walks in there into a New Orleans bar, and Gambit's doing his Gambit thing with the cards, which is all CGI, and it looks fucking terrible. They couldn't have got a magician to do all that, but okay. You're going to die for what you did to her, but not before we left uncontrollably. Gambit spinning his cane above his head like a helicopter blade as he glides to the ground around the hour and 11-minute mark. So we got a big, huge set piece here, and none of it's believable or marginally interesting because it's just terribly shot. And this Gambit guy is just looking worse and worse as the film goes on. Everybody agree with this?
Well, yeah, and all these cheap special effects that look like some sort of screensaver from the 90s or something.
It's super cheap, and what a waste of a character like Gambit, because he is at the end of the movie, but not really.
If this guy has these interesting powers, why do you wait so long to introduce him?
Oh, well, way late in the film. Yeah, over an hour into the movie. That's less than 2 hours.
Yeah, it's just we don't care anymore.
Is this Weapon 11 from Stranger Things? No, not that 11. All right. Okay, there you go.
Would have been a much better movie if it was.
All right, we're going to find out what Weapon 11 is very shortly, folks, and boy, you're going to love it. There's the island, 3 Mile Island, because when I think of supervillain hangouts, I think of nuclear reactors, but that's actually true because I think a Bond movie did this too.
Yeah.
So Stryker's the island we're talking about is actually 3 Mile Island, folks, and if you don't remember the 80s, Google it. I'm not going to explain what happened down there, but it wasn't pretty, and so that's where they have to go. I need your powers for the pool. Mutant Killer. Deadpool. This is the moment where Deadpool fans' heads collectively explode at the same time. So, Jay, that was it. This is what they thought.
I still have a hard time talking about
I bet
this.
you. Yeah, you're really upset about that. Yeah, Jake is very quiet about some of this nerd stuff. But you're
love
right,
it
though.
When, they reference how bad it is later with, the comics, and even the other Deadpool movie referenced how bad this was.
Yes. If you're a huge Deadpool fan, this is a real injustice of the way they came up with the origin story for Deadpool, which is nothing like actual Deadpool. And folks, everybody should have seen Deadpool by now, so you understand what I'm saying. But if you haven't, please go watch it. It's a great film. Who are you? Well, apparently it's Lynn Collins, who can't seem to find her way out of this turd. Hour and 18-minute mark. So, folks, there you go. We said she died, but guess what? She did not. She apparently was a sister to Emma Frost, right, Jay?
Well, I'm really confused because Bryan Singer has said this is not the real Emma Frost, but she's called Emma. She can turn herself to diamond form.
Just like Emma Frost.
Emma Frost is the most powerful telepath next to Charles Xavier. You think that if she could shut down everybody's mind, that would have come in handy at some point.
All right, there you go. All right, well, we're keeping some people and we're losing some others, but all right, you get the... told you if you came down this road, you wouldn't like what you found. I guess the screenwriters knew full well they were writing a turd. There you go with that one, all right. Read into it as you will. Victor, can't you see I took off my shirt so now I can fight you with my wife beater? Hour and 22-minute mark. I love how Jackson walks off the set and walks out of the scene and then hears Lynn Collins scream. And then, so we should mention that Lynn Collins was working with Stryker and Sabretooth because they were holding her sister Emma Frost, that we mentioned earlier with the diamond skin, hostage, so she had to do her bidding. So she was baited to fall in love with Wolverine and keep an eye on him.
Can't she just convince Stryker to let everybody go?
No. Well, yeah, we should mention her mutant power is is hypnosis, but only when you touch him. That's not an actual character, is it, Jay? It's not even a...
I don't even recall that being tactile persuasion.
That's not even a mutant
We have
ability.
to believe that she never got to touch Stryker, and all the time he was blackmailing her, I guess.
That's a good point. All right, we can go with that. So anyway, she's forced to help. So that's why I had to get Wolverine back. And Wolverine feels betrayed. He walks off the set. He comes back when she's screaming for help because Liev Schreiber's going to kill her. Activate Weapon 11. Deadpool gotta eat. Yeah. Wade, is that you? No, it's actually what the Gimp from Pulp Fiction
how's
looks
he
like.
gonna eat? His mouth is, like,
without his
huge.
mask on. There you go. We finally get what Weapon 11 is, and it's Deadpool. It's actually not the Deadpool you're thinking of, folks. The other Deadpool. I guess Stryker finally have figured out how to shut you up. $10 says they actually sealed up Reynolds' mouth because everyone on set was tired of his constant wise ass.
No pun intended, but I'm scarred. When I first saw
this was upsetting.
Jay,
when I saw this Deadpool, I was like fucked up.
it is fucked. Jay, we must have been really upset when this happened.
Yes, but I also I was hopeful because I knew this was an origin story, so this is how he becomes Deadpool, and this could have led to a proper Deadpool later if you built on this, because under the mask, we already know that Deadpool is really ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right.
And that's based on experiments from Weapon X in the comics.
Right.
So they got that right. They just went a little too far, I guess. With the Baraka hands. And the...
well, let's see you dance up here. Why the fuck did he climb up to the top of that stupid nuclear reactor? Why wouldn't you just fight him on the ground? I don't understand why we had this big set piece. Well, I guess maybe that's it. Maybe
It's more dramatic. That's why.
Yeah, to blow the rest of the budget on this stupid, badly CGI composited effect sequence. Nobody kills you but me, because having Wolverine just take on the Gimp Deadpool wasn't enough, so we're going to add Schreiber back into the mix. So now we have a big fight scene between Schreiber, Wolverine, and Deadpool as they fight, because Wolverine's
we already spoiled from Logan, that wasn't true.
Yeah, the big reveal, folks, is that Wolverine, is Stryker's doing experiments on all these mutants, so he can combine all the mutant powers into one mutant, have the ultimate weapon, and Deadpool's the ultimate weapon. So he's got claws for hands, healing powers, he's got Cyclops' eye problem, he can teleport like Will.i.am.
You know how you really love nachos and you really love ice cream? That doesn't mean you should stuff them both together and eat them at once.
I don't know why the screenwriter.
I
don't know why the screenwriters thought this would have been a good fucking idea, just to combine all these powers into one supervillain. Because he looks terrible. Let's be honest. He's got makeup on his mouth. He's got a shaved
This was
head.
a yawn.
He's not wearing a shirt. Reynolds looks miserable. He looks miserable in this makeup, and he has to do a whole fight sequence with these two idiots on top of this green screen to get through the sequence. So they survive. So anyway, they kill Deadpool, and he ends up destroying the entire reactor on the way down with the Cyclops eyes, and they both jump off. Liev Schreiber takes off to be in another movie. My name is Charles Xavier. I'm a mutant like you. I'm also great at creepily de-aging myself to appear in a superhero origin turds like this one. Wow. Anyone want to bet Patrick Stewart took this turd off his resume? He looks like Mr. Clean's less talented brother. What a terrible...
They put a lot of Vaseline on that lens to make him look that way.
No, it's a de-aging
No,
thing.
it's like Mr. Clean.
Oh my God.
K-L-E-E-N.
So, guys, they had to do a connectivity to the first three X-Men films, and as a result of that, they had to have poor Patrick Stewart just do one scene, but God, they de-aged him, and he just looks absolutely terrible.
And this is Patrick Stewart, a man that so rarely ages.
Right. Well, they could. That was my question, Jay. Why didn't they just have him as is? Like, why didn't they just
good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's looked the same for so many decades now.
He has. There's no reason why.
Again, they wasted all the budget on the trainers for Liev and Hugh.
Who are you? How convenient the screenwriters gave Logan a case of amnesia, so we can alter the mythology anytime we like. What kind of bullshit is this? This is how the movie ends. So Professor X scoops up the other mutants. Cyclops is out, and Emma Frost, and all these other fucked up mutants, and they all run to Professor X, who gets them on a helicopter and flies them out. As a result of that, a dumbass William Stryker shoots Wolverine in the head with adamantium, bullets, and as a result, that gives him amnesia. And meanwhile, Lynn Collins and her dying. We should mention Lynn Collins gets injured. She finally fucking dies, thank God. But not before she tells William Stryker to keep walking into nowhere. We're going to get to that in a second. So he has a case of amnesia. He doesn't know where the hell he is. How does that tie into the rest of the mythology, Jay?
Okay, you just killed me with that part. I hate this part. This is the worst part of the movie for me. I was furious.
Wow.
I might have hated this worse than Deadpool because I still thought at least Deadpool could be redeemed in another movie. But Weapon X always just wiped his mind. This whole thing... He treated it like it was science. It was like, oh, well, science tells me that adamantium bullets and an adamantium skull causes amnesia. Sure, of course it does. No.
I'll find my own way. Or go your own way. Cue Fleetwood Mac. Okay. There you go. Griffin on credits. What do we got?
I didn't have time.
Oh, did anybody watch? Because there is a scene, right? Did anybody watch the credits? Jay?
Yeah, definitely.
Jay,
There's
Sandlin on credits.
Depending on which version of the movie you have,
Oh,
there's
no.
one scene where Deadpool grabs his severed head and the mouth is no longer sewn closed, and the head looks at the screen and says, shh, as if to say, Deadpool will be back.
Oh, come on. Really? What's the other? Is there anything else?
Yes, there's another one where Wolverine is sitting in a bar in, it looks like Japan or somewhere Asian, and they say, you drinking to forget, and he says, drinking to remember, which was setting up the next movie that was going to take place in Japan, which was The Wolverine. Which makes no sense whatsoever, because The Wolverine takes place after X-Men 3 The Last Stand, not right after X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh,
so
Jesus
none of that makes
Christ.
sense.
Oh, guys. All right. Oh, God. All right. So there you go. That is X-Men Origins Wolverine. Well, we took it out and played it a lot longer. We should have. Could we flush it, ladies and gentlemen? Could we please flush it?
Flush it down with the Merc with no mouth.
That should have been your title. Merc with no mouth. I love it. Consider it flushed. That is it for this week. I want to thank my lovely co-host, Cinematic Flushes, Midwest Movie Mogul, Colleen Griffin, and Sassy Cinephile, Sarah Polton. Great job, as always, ladies. Thank our very special guest. Pretty much an extended Flusher this point. Jay Sandlin coming in with a lot of mythology, a lot of aggravated mythology. Jay, thank you so much. You did a great job, as always.
This movie died
breaking
such
it
a slow, painful death.
So check out his stuff he's got going on. Who Would Win podcast. We'll be back next week to torture you guys with something else. Until then, say goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Nora Crest, and I want to thank you for listening this week and every week as we flush these turds down our cinematic bowl here in the restroom. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play Music so we attract more listeners and you don't miss a single episode. We love feedback, so email us at signalsoffury@gmail.com with your comments and suggestions for future flushes. Also, be sure to check out our home restroom on the net, signalsoffury.com. Until next time, remember, we're here to flush it so you don't have to see it. I'm Nora Crest, and this has been the award-winning Soiled Restroom Cinema.